Hello, my name's Shona, and I want to talk to you today about the UK's obesity epidemic, which I'm quite passionate about. I recently did a survey when I was driving past our local McDonald's. I live in a town called Portishead in the southwest of England, and I noticed quite a lot that there were a lot of children school age coming out of the secondary school who were constantly attending McDonald's at around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I thought one day I'll just pop in and have a chat with a few of them, find out why they were in there nearly every day, and to ask them if there was a reason for that. And the sort of thing I was finding every time I asked them was that they were telling their parents that they were attending after school clubs like football, or some of the girls were saying that they were doing netball, and their parents weren't coming home from work themselves till about 6 o'clock in the evening. They were giving them £5 normally to go and get a snack after school so they wouldn't get too hungry. But the kids were going into McDonald's and buying themselves a Big Mac meal, or one of their shakes, or even McFlurries. Now these are high in fat. The kids aren't really interested in the nutrition value of these items. You get a quick fix of the food, but then you get a very sudden increase in your energy levels, but very quick down from that very quickly soon after. So by the time the kids are going then home at 6 o'clock, they're feeling hungry again and having another evening meal. And this was the pattern I was finding. The reason why they were going into McDonald's was to play on games like Fortnite, which is this latest craze with a lot of teenage kids, on their tablets or on their smartphones. The other game is Minecraft. I did a little bit more research into these games, and they're so addictive that it's almost as addictive as cocaine or smoking habit, that it leaves them with a little kick at the end of each level that then makes them want to carry on to the next level as well. And any kids these days, any teenagers that don't seem to be involved in these types of games, then they end up getting picked on as a result. And that seems to be what's happening. My own stepson is coming up to the age of 13, and he gets excluded in school because he's not allowed to play Fortnite. In our household, he's allowed to play on his phone for maybe an hour in the morning after he's done his homework, and then his phone goes away for the rest of the day. And if that makes him a social outcast, then that's quite sad. But we still believe in our household in playing old-fashioned board games. As a family, we like to be outdoors a lot. Our kids, thankfully, still like to go out and play football. They like going on long walks. They like climbing trees. They still like playing in the park and going out on rollerblades, etc. And I hope that doesn't end, but that's all because of the way I feel that us as parents have brought them up as well. My daughter sees me as a spin instructor, which is one of my jobs. She comes along to my classes. She's 10 years old. She actually wants to join in with my class, whereas other kids who come along, they sit at the back of the class while their parents are doing the class, and they are playing on their computer games and not interested in joining in. And I actually feel quite sad sometimes that that's going on. So I've carried on with my research and thought, well, look, what can schools do to make maybe after school clubs like football and maybe netball a bit more interactive? Because if kids are finding that these school time routines, these clubs are boring, and they'd rather be on computer games, can the schools maybe get involved to find out what can make these things more interactive? And I think the schools have got a part here, but also the parents need to be aware of really what their kids are doing, and can they have any control? What do the parents do to keep fit? What are they eating at home? What's their nutrition like? Now, it's a fact that 71% of women and 61% of men do not meet the required exercise regime of doing 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise 5 times a week. And again, that's quite alarming when you think that we're not talking here, guys, about going to a gym. When you think about doing exercise, people automatically think, oh gosh, I've got to go to the gym. Not at all. It can be, we're talking about a steady walking pace here. You know, go for a walk, climb up and down the stairs a few times, even doing a bit of housework. If you work in an office, and I did a test like this when I was working in an office, and I noticed I worked on the 4th floor of the building, and in 2 years I never once used the stairs. And I noticed a lot of the time in my office that people would constantly moan about how they were putting on weight because they'd be sat at a desk all day. So I actually devised a poster and put it up between the stairs and the lift, which was actually right next to each other. You just had to walk through a door to get to the stairs. And I devised this poster which said, why are you using the stairs today? The lift today. Because again, using the stairs, if you use the stairs for 10 minutes a day, it is more effective and you burn off more calories and fat than doing a 10-minute jog. And I think bringing those facts to people, it gets them to think. And I actually noticed more people starting to use the stairs. And it's, you know, you don't have to run up the stairs, just an energetic pace, doing that a few times a day, maybe even when you need to go to the toilet, use the toilet on a floor above you or a floor below you. Try that out. If you get the bus into work, rather than getting the bus in and getting off the stop right outside your office door, get off a stop earlier, which may mean a 5-minute walk. All of these things make a huge difference. And over a period of a few months, that can mean a few pounds or a few inches off your waistline. A lot of people talk about weight loss in terms of weight, but actually the scales can actually get binned unless you've got one which has a fat ratio on it, because 50 to 75% of your body weight is in water, and a lot of people can retain water. So you should be looking at your body mass in fat rather than just worrying about the scales, because you can stand on the scales at different times of the day or different times of the month, and it can say a completely different thing. So you should go by measurements. So many people who do particular weight loss diets, or as I call them, they should be a change of lifestyle. So things like Slimming World, Weight Watchers, and I'm not dissing them at all. I think I've done Slimming World in the past myself, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. But one thing I noticed, because I exercise a lot, is my weight on the scales actually went up quite a bit, first of all. And I've noticed this with a lot of people that I have come into my spin classes. And I actually said to quite a lot of them, because some people who were maybe on the larger side, I'd noticed they were losing, or you could physically see them losing weight. And some of them would get quite disheartened because they'd stand on the scales, go into a Slimming World group, and it'd tell them they'd put on weight. Now, muscle weighs more than fat. I think it's around about 5 times more than fat. So I would say to some of these people, maybe once a month, take a photograph of yourself, put it on the fridge, because that's a focal point where you'll go to every day. You might not like that photo, but believe me, this does work. And start taking measurements on a monthly basis, and take them off the points where you're not happy. So the tops of your thighs, your waist, your hips, your arms here. So where we have these bingo wings, even around your neck. It's a really good, they're really good. Oh, and obviously your bust, especially if you're female. And I did this with a few of my members who came to my groups, and it was amazing the results they saw. I mean, one lady in particular, she did this, and the scales in her Slimming World group, although she felt a lot healthier, a lot fitter, they were only telling her that she'd lost maybe a pound, 2 pounds, or she'd put on. But when it came to measuring her, she had lost something like 8 inches off her waist, a similar amount off her hips, and this went on. I can't remember the exact figures because this was about a year ago. So that's just one tip. But another thing here, and this is from further statistics from the Heart and Social Care Information Centre, and this actually goes back to 2010. But the UK is one of the most obese nations in Europe. Now, that will probably come as no surprise to most people. And Health Survey England data shows that 1 in 4 adults are obese. And more worrying, 31% of children are overweight or obese, and that's for children aged between 2 and 15 years. Public Health England, the most recent statistics show that by 2034, 70% of children and adults will be obese or overweight. And something needs to be done about this. Now, I've obviously given you a few tips there for people who work in offices. Other tips as well are, I know somebody in our local area, and this is more, I suppose, for girls, teenagers, and I'm not saying the boys can't get involved in this as well. It's you know, we've got an open society these days. To make things a bit more fun for teenagers after school, she set up like a dance studio, but for people who roller skate to disco music, and makes it lots of fun. And she does cheerleading with them. So it's all right. It's not a computer game, but it's fun. In our local youth centre here, we've got a recording studio. My daughter, for her 10th birthday recently, went there with 2 of her friends, and they got to record their own favourite songs. They put them all on an MP3 or CD player for them. And now every Tuesday you can go in, you pay, how much is it, Martha? You pay?
£3.
You pay £3, and that's for the whole youth club, but you get to go in for 20 minutes at a time, use the recording studio, use all the equipment. And even better, if you want to start learning how to use the recording equipment, so use the computer side of it, program it all yourself, do all the dubbing, mixing, you can go in and do all that, and they teach you. And I think that is an alternative way of getting into using computers, making it fun, making it interactive, not just being on all of these computer games. And I'm not saying to ban all of these games like Fortnite, Minecraft, but limit it. Otherwise, we're going to be ending up in a situation where we're going to be just one massive obese nation. And the reason for this, and energy intake and outtake hasn't really changed since the beginning of the 20th century. What has changed is things like technology. We now have things like lifts, we've got TVs, we've got every technology that does everything for us. We've got more cars. So as a nation, unfortunately, we've become quite lazy, and there's other things which do things for us. So we need to become more active. We haven't stopped taking in those calories, and that's why we've got fatter. Now, you know, my daughter's just come home from school and she says, "Mummy, can I have a snack?" So yes, it's easy to go straight for the sweets. And I was always guilty in the past, and I'd say, yes, okay, yeah, no, just go and help yourself. We started to stop that, and she can have sweets once a week, because that's what I used to have, or when I was a child. I'm 44 years old and I don't have any fillings. I had a bit of a shock recently when I took my daughter to the dentist, and she needs to have 2 fillings in her mouth, and that upsets me. So now we have these. We have crisp breads, and we've got Spelton muesli crisp breads. They are really tasty, and they are really cheap, and they're nutritious. We've also got 3 grain and seeds crisp breads, which again, these will fill you up until tea time. They're full of all your nutritious, they've got the right carbohydrates in them, they've got the right fats in them, they don't have added sugars. We've got chia and oat crisp breads. Martha, do you want to come and show what you've just eaten?
Yummy. These are better than donuts.
Well, there we are. I didn't ask her to say that at all. Another thing, just finally, before I let you go as well, guys, it's about things like water intake as well. there isn't a necessarily advisable amount of water that you need to take each day. You'll see on the internet things like, you need to drink 2 liters a day, or 8 glasses of water a day. It does depend on your weight and your height. The average amount is about 8 glasses or 2 liters a day, but it also depends on the amount of exercise that you do as well. What you can do is have a look at downloading. I've got an app on my phone, and the app will tell me when I need to drink, say, 300 millilitres of water. If you're not good at doing that, then carry a bottle with you, and it will just prompt you to drink some more water. It doesn't just have to be plain, boring water. It can be fizzy water, flavoured water without any added sugar. You can have tea and coffee included in that as well. The only thing you need to be aware of with things like tea and coffee is it is a diuretic. It has caffeine in it, and that will slow down the whole process of it being withdrawn from your system. So you do have to actually add extra fluids to that. I think it's got something like 56 grams of caffeine per 100 millilitres, so you won't get the full benefit if you drink caffeine with say coffee and tea. So you do need to maybe fill up a little bit more on some extra water, but don't think that your tea and coffee doesn't add to your daily intake. So hopefully you've enjoyed this blog, I suppose, or vlog, whatever you like to call it. And if anyone wants to listen to any of my others, if you go to my website, which is www.mindset-in-motion.co.uk, and I've got lots of other interesting tips for you. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
It's .net.
No, it's not anymore.